She had only one chance to escape. Behind her, an entire village was hunting her. Ahead of her lay nothing but an endless forest. Before sunrise, she would make a choice that changed 2 lives forever. Branches whipped against their faces. Dry leaves crunched beneath hurried footsteps. Amani and Wanjiku ran side by side through the dense forest. Neither of them dared slow down. Their breathing grew heavier with every step. Behind them, angry voices echoed through the trees. "Search everywhere! They couldn't have gone far. The bridge! Hurry!" Torchlight flickered between the trees. It was getting closer. Wanjiku looked over her shoulder. "They're gaining on us." Amani grabbed her wrist. "Don't look back. Just run." The narrow forest path twisted sharply. Low branches slapped against their faces. Roots reached across the ground like traps. Suddenly, Amani glanced at Wanjiku's servant's uniform. Her eyes widened. "The uniform!" Wanjiku looked down. "What about it?" "They'll recognize you immediately. Take it off." Without stopping, Wanjiku untied the white apron as she ran. It fell onto the forest floor. She quickly pulled the oversized servant's dress over her head. Underneath, she wore the clothes she had arrived in. A simple cream blouse, beige trousers, white sneakers. She tossed the servant's dress into a thick patch of thorny bushes. Within seconds, it disappeared beneath the leaves. Amani smiled. "Good. They'll waste precious time looking for his servant." The shouting behind them suddenly grew louder. "There! I saw movement! They're ahead!" The girls ran even faster. Their feet barely touched the ground. Then, Amani's foot caught a fig tree root. She crashed onto the forest floor. "Amani!" Wanjiku immediately dropped to her knees. She helped Amani up. "Are you hurt?" Amani winced. "I'm fine. Go." "I'm not leaving you." Wanjiku wrapped Amani's arm around her shoulder. Together, they stumbled forward. Then the sound reached them. The roaring river. Amani looked ahead. Hope flashed across her face. "The bridge! We're close!" The trees opened. An old wooden suspension bridge stretched across the rushing river. Wanjiku smiled through exhausted tears. "We made it!" Together, they sprinted onto the bridge. The old planks groaned beneath their feet. Halfway across, Amani suddenly stopped. Wanjiku took 3 more steps before realizing she was alone. She turned. "Amani, why are you stopping?" Amani looked toward the forest. The glow of approaching torches reflected in her tear-filled eyes. Then she looked back at Wanjiku. A sad smile appeared on her face. "Go." Wanjiku stared at her. "What are you doing?" Amani's sad smile never faded. "You have to keep going." Wanjiku slowly shook her head. "No, we'll cross together." She hurried back and grabbed both of Amani's hands. "We've come this far. We're almost free." Amani looked into her eyes. Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. "You still don't understand. They're not chasing you anymore. They're chasing me." The angry voices grew louder. "There! They're on the bridge. Don't let them escape." Torchlight burst from the trees behind Amani. Wanjiku's breathing became uneven. "No." Amani gently squeezed her hands. "My mother knew this day would come." Wanjiku frowned. "What are you talking about?" Amani reached into the small leather pouch tied around her waist. She slowly pulled out an old wooden pendant hanging from a faded braided cord. Years of wear had polished the carved wood smooth. She placed it carefully into Wanjiku's trembling hand. "Keep this." Wanjiku stared at it. "What is it?" Amani smiled through her tears. "My mother's greatest treasure. She always told me, as long as this pendant remains with someone whose heart is pure, hope never dies." Wanjiku looked up. "I don't want your pendant. I want you." Amani gently folded Wanjiku's fingers around it. "One day,
You understand. The shouting was almost upon them now. There they are. Move. They're trapped. Wanjiku's voice broke. Please, come with me. Amani slowly shook her head. I can't. This is my home. My mother is buried here. If I keep running, I'll spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder. She gently wiped Wanjiku's face. Besides, a faint smile crossed her lips. You still have a family waiting for you. Wanjiku burst into tears. So do you. For a brief moment, neither of them spoke. Only the roar of the river filled the silence. Amani leaned forward. She kissed Wanjiku gently on her forehead. Thank you for being my friend. Then, with both hands, she gave Wanjiku one firm push toward the opposite side of the bridge. Run! Please, don't stop. Wanjiku stumbled backward. No! She reached toward Amani. Their fingertips almost touched. Then the villagers rushed onto the bridge.
The leader emerged between the torches. Several men grabbed Amani before she could move. Wanjiku screamed, Amani! Amani looked at her one last time, then smiled. A smile filled with sadness, but also peace. Live. Wanjiku stood frozen. The leader slowly turned toward her. His voice thundered across the bridge. After her. The villagers charged. That single shout finally broke Wanjiku's paralysis. Clutching the pendant tightly against her chest, she turned and ran. The villagers closed in around Amani. Their burning torches cast long shadows across the old suspension bridge. No one spoke. For a long moment, only the roar of the river echoed beneath the wooden planks. The leader slowly walked toward her. A cruel smile spread across his face. I expected you to run. Amani wiped the tears from her cheeks. I was never running from you. I was helping her escape. The leader chuckled. You've become just like your mother. Amani's heart skipped. A painful memory flashed across her face. She lifted her chin. I'll gladly follow in her footsteps. The leader's smile vanished from his face. Take her. Two men stepped forward. They seized Amani by both arms. She struggled fiercely, but there were too many of them. Within seconds, she was pinned in place. The leader stopped only inches from her face. You know what happens to traitors. Amani met his eyes without fear. I know. But at least, I'll die, knowing an innocent woman will live. The leader laughed. The sound echoed across the river. You still don't understand. He leaned closer until only Amani could hear him. The curse is faster than you think. If she's still inside these forests before sunrise, it will find her. Amani's eyes widened. No! A slow smile crept across the leader's face. You've only delayed the inevitable. He straightened, then turned toward his men. His voice thundered across the bridge. Find the girl. She cannot leave these forests alive. Without hesitation, half the villagers sprinted across the bridge. Their torches disappeared into the darkness beyond. Amani watched them go. Her breathing became uneven. She whispered through trembling lips, Run, please, keep running. Wanjiku ran as fast as she could. Branches whipped across her face. Sharp thorns scratched her arms. Her lungs burned. Still, she refused to stop. Behind her, the shouting grew louder. There! I saw her! She's heading east! Torchlight flickered between the trees. They were getting closer. Wanjiku looked back. Several villagers had already crossed the bridge. They were running straight toward her. Panic gripped her heart. She faced forward again. Nothing. Only endless forest. Every path looked the same. Every tree looked the same. She had no idea which direction led home. Her breathing became ragged. No, I can't die here. She stumbled over a root, barely catching herself before falling. She looked desperately from one narrow trail to another. Left, right, straight ahead. Which one? She didn't know. Then, something warm touched her hand.
She looked down. The wooden pendant. It had begun to glow. A soft golden light slipped gently between her fingers. She stared at it in disbelief. The light grew brighter, warmer, almost alive. A gentle voice drifted through the silent forest. Not loud, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. "Make a wish, Wanjiku." She froze. Her eyes searched the trees. No one, only silence. Again, the whisper came, gentle, patient, almost like a mother's voice. "Make a wish." Wanjiku's hands trembled. The warm golden light spread slowly through her fingers. The pendant pulsed gently against her palm. The whisper came again, soft, gentle, almost like a mother's voice. "Make a wish." Wanjiku's tears streamed down her face. She looked toward the forest behind her. The shouting was growing closer. She closed her eyes. For a moment, she saw Amani's face. She remembered the bridge, the tears, the smile, the push. "Run, please, save yourself." Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. She shook her head. "No, I can't leave her." She held the pendant tightly against her heart. Her voice broke. "Please, take us home. Both of us. Please, save Amani too." The pendant answered. Its warm glow became brighter, brighter. The light spread around Wanjiku. At her feet, it climbed slowly around her body.
The villagers burst through the trees. "There she is!" One of them stopped abruptly. "The light!" Another raised his arm to shield his eyes. "What is happening?" The leader's men froze. None of them dared move. The brilliant golden light surrounded Wanjiku completely. She closed her eyes. Peace replaced fear. The light grew brighter, brighter, until it swallowed her completely. Then, silence. The light vanished. Wanjiku was gone. The forest became still. One villager slowly lowered his arm. "She's gone." Another searched the ground. No footprints. A third whispered, "She vanished." Fear spread across every face. The villagers searched frantically. They pushed through bushes. They searched behind giant trees. They called her name. Nothing. Minutes later, one by one, they returned to the bridge, breathing heavily. "We found nothing. It's as if the forest swallowed her." The leader's face darkened. His fists clenched. "No, no one simply disappears." His eyes slowly turned toward Amani. A cruel smile returned. "Then you'll take her place." Two men grabbed Amani's arms. She didn't struggle. She simply closed her eyes, quietly accepting her fate. The leader raised one hand. "Take her." Suddenly, a warm golden light appeared beneath Amani's feet. Everyone froze. The light slowly spread upward, wrapping around her body. The villagers stumbled backward. One dropped his torch. "It can't be!" The leader's face turned pale. "No! Impossible!" The glow became brighter, brighter, until Amani disappeared inside the brilliant golden light. Silence. Only the sound of the river remained. The leader stared at the empty bridge. For the first time, fear filled his eyes. A soft breeze drifted through the village. Birds sang from the old mango tree. Wanjiku stumbled forward. She blinked several times. The forest was gone. She slowly looked around. The familiar pathway, the old mango tree, the village square. Children chased one another laughing. Smoke curled gently from cooking fires. She was home. For a long moment, she simply stood there. Disbelief filled her face. Then, her knees gave way. She dropped to the ground. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "I'm home." Her smile lasted only a moment. Suddenly, she looked around. "Amani?"
Silence. Her eyes searched every direction. The smile disappeared. Fresh tears filled her eyes. She clutched the wooden pendant tightly. No, I can't leave her. She gave up everything so I could live. I could never forgive myself if anything happened to her. She bowed her head. The pendant rested quietly in her trembling hands. Then, a gentle breeze stirred the leaves above her. A familiar voice spoke behind her. Wanjiku? She froze. Her heart skipped. Slowly, she turned around. Standing beneath the old mango tree was Amani, safe, alive. She looked around in confusion, as though she had awakened from a dream. For one long heartbeat, neither of them moved. Then, Wanjiku ran. She threw her arms around Amani. They held each other tightly. Neither wanted to let go. Tears streamed freely down both their faces. Wanjiku's voice trembled. I thought I'd lost you. I could never forgive myself if anything had happened to you. Amani smiled through her tears. She gently pulled back. Confusion filled her eyes. How? How am I here? Wanjiku slowly opened her hand. The wooden pendant rested quietly in her palm. Its golden glow had almost disappeared. She smiled softly. It heard my wish. I asked it to bring both of us home. Amani looked at the pendant, then back at Wanjiku. A tear rolled down her cheek. No one has ever wished for me before. Wanjiku smiled. You saved my life, and today you got your life back. She gently took Amani's hand. From today, you're the sister I never had. Amani's lips trembled. She smiled through her tears. And you're mine. They stood quietly beneath the old mango tree. The morning breeze rustled the leaves above them. For the first time, neither of them was running. Neither of them was afraid. Far away, at the Mwangi estate, just before sunrise, a blood-curdling scream shattered the silence. Servants rushed from every direction. Doors flew open. The Mwangi family stumbled into the courtyard in terror. The 4th year had finally come due. This time, there was no innocent bride left to sacrifice. The curse had returned to the family that had fed it for generations. No sacrifice remained to delay its judgment. The cycle had finally ended. Back in Wanjiku's village, the pendant's golden glow slowly faded until it became nothing more than an ordinary piece of carved wood. Its purpose was fulfilled. Wanjiku looked at Amani. Come. Hand in hand, the two young women walked slowly along the familiar village path toward a new life together. Thank you so much for watching this story to the very end. If the story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to African Stories That Touch for more powerful African stories filled with unforgettable lessons. And remember, sometimes the family we choose through love and sacrifice becomes even stronger than the one we are born into. Until our next story, stay kind, stay hopeful, and may God bless you.